for me in news, the difference between, say, working at WSJM in Benton Harbor and WJR in Detroit is you have more time to work on a story at WSJM than you do WJR. WJR,
slap it together productions, get it in, get it out.
Get it on the air, get it on the
Assembly
website.
line.
Yes, where, in Benton Harbor, St. Joe, and in smaller markets, you can do more legwork and you have more time to put it on the air. You get sound.
Right.
You have more time to tell a story. You might be able to spend 40 to 60 seconds on a single news story, where at WJR you got 15 seconds. You got to move on to the next one.
Oh, wow. Yep.
So that's a big difference in preparation. That's a big difference in how you cover a story. That's a big difference in the amount of legwork you do before you air it. And I don't know. I just think the way smaller markets do it is correct.
Well, and I think listeners like that. Like, why just give somebody 15 seconds when you probably devoted a minute to 2 minutes to some pieces in St. Joe, Benton Harbor, and you had sound bites.
Sound bites that last longer than 15 seconds. It's like, and that's the other thing in smaller markets. We would cover and air stories about fires in Benton Harbor, where in Detroit, there's not a lot of, unless it's a monument, you're not getting a lot of those stories on the radio about fires.
Right.
But
I remember when we were in St. Joe, Benton Harbor, I remember leaving the station one night, and then you and Nick were going to cover the riots.
Yes. You learned a lot from that event. The Benton Harbor Riots in
was that 03? I think it was 03.
Yeah, 03. June 14th, 15th of 03. The only reason those riots stopped was because it started to rain. But, man, that was an intense time. And you know what? That was I'm glad that I had the experience by the time that happened, because me and Nick, we knocked it out of the park with covering that event. We talk about moment-to-moment news that was happening. I mean, Nick got arrested. I mean, we did a show about that. Nick got arrested.
I remember that.
While he was down covering that story. Yeah.
But weren't you had to be scared.
Fuck yeah, I was scared. Yeah. I mean, because
you didn't know what anybody was going to do.
Well, when I went down there and I was when the riots, as the riots were starting, I was at Benton Harbor City Hall, and I talked with a local Reverend Pickney. And he says that they're starting to stir up over at Empire and Pavone, which is where Terrence Shaun died after a police chase, which is what started all this. And so I went down there, and I wasn't in the news truck. I was in, Drew was a kid at the time, so I had a minivan, and I was down there in my minivan. The window on the driver's side was half up and half down, and the electrical, it didn't work. So the window was half up, half down, and I get out of my vehicle with my
all that money you were making in that small market.
I was printing money,
making it rain hundos.
Yeah, not really. But I got out with my WSJM microphone, and almost immediately people started throwing shit at me. I mean, I was white and I was in Benton Harbor. Mm-hmm. They wanted no part of me there. Especially in media, they didn't want none of that either. So I got back in my minivan, and I started to pull away because people continued to throw rocks and bottles at me, and then this guy, I saw him from 50 feet away. He had a bottle of Mad Dog, and I only know that because it ended up in my truck.
Was it the fruit punch?
He took
was
a wig.
The fruit punch?
He took a swig and he tossed it, and it came through the window and hit me in the head and went in the back. And so I got back to the station, and Nick was just coming up there with his dog wanting to find out what happened. He was all calm and cool, and my adrenaline's pumping like 100 million miles an hour, and I'm telling him what happened, and he's like, calm down, but my adrenaline was pumping, and so I think we had to turn that bottle over to police. I don't think we have that bottle.
Evidence.
Yeah. But then Nick went down there, and got himself arrested, and the guy driving him around got shot. It was crazy. Yeah, I did a whole show. If you want to hear the whole story, go check out the podcast I did with Nick Reikovich. I think it was in season 2, but I'll leave the exact episode in the description below. But yeah, again, the coverage we had of the Benton Harbor riots and the news we were able to get on the air as quickly as we did. it felt like we were a major market when that was happening, because we were getting newsmakers. We were
Right.
talking with Jennifer Granholm. We were talking with Jesse Jackson. We were talking with all these national leaders, because they all came to town.
Yeah, that was a big national event.
Yeah, they all came to town. And then just as quickly as they came to town, when the news trucks were in town, because the national media came too.
Yeah.
But when the national media left, all the big names left, and